I'm going to highlight the Paleo Hebrew study cards that are available on erictology.net that Eric Bissell developed as a deck of playing cards. Aleph, the first letter of the 22 Hebrew alphabet, is said to be silent or unexpressed, yet meaning-wise it is very important. It can be seen as 1 or 1,000 numerically. We could say it's the executive plan, goal, creator's plan, certain, for sure, will be absolutely carried out. His word does not return void. We could say it's the purpose, author, architect, an I will strategy, executive designation, designed fully to absolute exact functional detail, strong power leader. In Exodus 20, we are given the Aleph concept in Yah's statement, I am Yahuwah, in verse 2. And that reads, I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of that which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah your Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me, but showing loving commitment to thousands, to those who love me and guard my commands. And that continues on with the 10 matters. So in that chapter, Yah imparts to you his covering, his likeness. It says that I will plummet myself, or he is the plumb line. His 10 matters declare his plumb line. In Exodus 4:22 and 23, which reads, And I shall say to Pharaoh, Thus said Yahuwah, Israel is my son, my firstborn. So I say to you, let my son go to serve me. But if you refuse to let him go, see, I am killing your son, your firstborn. In those verses, Yah claims Israel as his own. We have instructions on how to qualify as his people. What an amazing promise. So when we're thinking of the Aleph, just think of that big picture, maybe a drone view, the whole entire horizon. So let's look at the chart. This is available at erictology.net, and we're going to look at the Aleph column. All the Aleph concepts available on this chart. So if we look at the strategy and the perspective of Aleph, by Aleph, we have plan, purpose, 1. The basic object perspective of Bet, we have steadfast, ox. The action perspective between, preference for relationship. The comparison perspective of Dalet, we have begin, that starting point. The simple type perspective of Hay, vortex, funnel. The simple function perspective of Wa is consolidate. The edge perspective of Zion, regulation, how, the 10 matters. The segregated area of Chet, regular, agenda. And that qualifier perspective of Tet, authorization. It's like it's officially stamped, sealed, very official. So I'm going to go on with the chart. We have the existence reality perspective of Yod, I will, creator, power, by his active involvement, his strong arm. We have the lines perspective of Kaf, designer, exactly by his hand. The governing perspective of Lamed, silent, author. The unseen made seen perspective of Mem, expression. The alive activator perspective of Nun, initiator. The paradigm perspective of Samic, Skeen, matrix. the perspective of Ayin, the eye in the sky. Think of the perspective of picture from a drone, very expansive view, the whole horizon, as far as your eye can see. The Sephardic or delineation perspective of Pe, constant or exhale. The proof perspective of Zadi, absolute. Overview perspective of Kuf, external now. That's eternal now. Again, the big view of the drone. The high calling of Resh, controller. The allocation perspective of Shin, without limit. Ultimately, the perspective of Tav, certain. So to review, the Aleph concept, master, meta element, not Facebook related. We could say it's variegated as a spectrum. Think of a prism. The whole white light that enters that prism would demonstrate the concept of Aleph. Then the colored light dispersed into separate colors would be like all the other letters in the alphabet. We could say it's being before time and space, first. Yah himself. He is declaring, this is me. In Exodus 34, Yah proclaims himself described in his 13 attributes. He is telling us exactly who he is according to his word. So let's look at some usage. As a prefix, Aleph Bet would be archetype, or just the prefix arch, and the prefix proto for prototype, chief master. So if you have your dictionary available, we're going to start looking at some words that begin with the Aleph. And first we're going to begin with Aleph Bet Aleph. That's found on page 1 in the left column, and it's the last word. And that's Abba, father, daddy, Abba. Title of ancient rabbis, Reverend Father, properly the Father. So we can use his name as Abba when we call out to him. If we look at Aleph Bet Bet, that same page, it is to bring forth shoots, sprout, the coming of spring. Brought forth shoots. He brought the spring, refreshed, renewed. Same page, in the middle column, we're going to look for Aleph Bet Gimel Dalet. Look at those 4 letters in order. The first 4 letters of the Aleph Bet Gimel Dalet. And that word is defined as to spell, to arrange in alphabetical order. Spelled, he arranged something in alphabetical order. And if we add a wa in that spelling, it's actually defined as spelling. Amazing how Hebrew works. So if you turn to page 2, we're going to look at Aleph Bet Tet Het in the right column. And that is defined as to protect, secure. He protected, secured. Was protected, was secured. And then it gives us a few derivative spellings. If you turn to page 4 in the right column, we're going to look at Aleph Bet Resh. That is defined to be strong. He strengthened, hardened, and we're given a few derivative spellings. On page 6 in the middle column, we're going to look at Aleph Gimel Resh. To collect, gather. He collected, gathered, accumulated, hoarded, stockpiled. Was collected, was gathered together, was hoarded, was stockpiled. Was collected, was gathered together, was hoarded. And we're given derivative spellings. So if you turn to page 8 in the right column, we're going to look for Aleph Hey Bet. And that's defined to love. He loved, liked. He was loved, was liked. He loved passionately. He became beloved. He fell in love. He was loved by. He fell in love with. He caused to love. And we're given quite a few derivative spellings. On page 9 in the middle column, we're going to look at Aleph Hey Lamed. That is to pitch a tent, to dwell in a tent. He pitched a tent, dwelled in a tent. He shaded, overshadowed. That makes me think of Sukkot. It's also defined as tent, shelter, tabernacle, dwelling, habitation. It's also relatives, kin, kinfolk, adherents, inhabitants, people. And we're given derivative spellings again. So if you turn to page 13 and look in the middle of the right column, we'll find Aleph, Wa, Zadi, Resh. And that's defined as supply, storehouse, granary, treasure, treasury. Literally the house of supplies or storehouse. It's also defined as curator. On page 14 in the left column, we have Aleph, Wa, Resh, to give light, shine. Light, day, enkindled, heat, glow. As a verb was lit, shone, was brightened, was enlightened. It gave light, said of the sun or the moon, shed light, brightened, shone. Was lit, was lighted. And quite a few derivative spellings. On page 15 in the right column, we'll look for Aleph, Wa, Tav. This is defined as sign, signal, symbol, token, miracle. To sign, to mark, literally a letter of the alphabet. How amazing. It's also defined to consent, agree. He consented, agreed, to signal, sign. He signaled, was signaled. If you go to page 15 in the middle right column, we'll look for Aleph, Zion, which is at that time. On page 34, in the middle of the left column, we'll look for Aleph, tribe, nation, people. On page 38, in the middle column, we'll look for Aleph, Nun, He. So see, I'm just changing the middle letter, but it gives such more meaning or different meaning in the definition. Okay, so this is to bring about, cause. The right time has come. He brought about, caused. It's used in Exodus 21, verse 13. Was brought about, befell, happened. It's used in Psalms 91, verse 10 and Proverbs 12:21. And as he found a pretext for a quarrel or sought a quarrel with is used in 2 Kings 5:7. And then we also have derivative spellings. If you turn to page 61 in the right column, we have Aleph, Tav, Tav, which is to signal or signaler. And it's very similar to that Aleph, Wa, Tav word that was exactly a letter of the alphabet. On page 59 in the middle column, we have Aleph, Shin, Resh, my favorite verb. To walk straight, to walk. Place, trace. To go, walk, tread, place, track. He walked, he led, or was led. To be happy. Happiness was easy, made easy, prospered. He pronounced happy, called blessed. Was made happy, was blessed. To strengthen, confirm, and it continues on to be even authenticated. Quite the complete definition. So here's one of Eric Bissell's cards in his card deck, and it's Yod, He, Wah, He, or Yahweh, or Yahuwah, and then Aleph, Lamed, He, Yod, and we're going to look at that second word. On page 29, the left column is defined as godlike or divine. Here we have another card from Eric Bissell's card deck, and that middle word can be found on page 33, the left column. The Lamed, Aleph, Lamed, Tav, Resh is on the spot at once, on the place, on the spot, to improvise, extemporize. So let's look at Psalms 119, and the Aleph stanza has all of the Aleph words at the beginning of that stanza. And it begins with Aleph, Shin, Resh, Yod. Who would be blessed? To whom will I permit my blessing? Aleph, Shin, Resh, Yod. Who that walks straight, confirming, authenticating, verifying. That's the Aleph, Shin, Resh verb that we looked at just a moment ago. The Aleph Pei, for the reason that, characterized by, knows of. Aleph, Tav, Hey, you are attached to. Aleph, Chet, Lamed, Yod, my wish. Aleph, Zion, then, on the occasion of. Aleph, Wa, Dalet, Kaf, your voice. Aleph, Tav, Chet, Kuf, Yod, Kaf. Induce Aleph, Tav as you imitate my prescribed commands. Amazing. Think of this Aleph, the gigantic picture of Aleph, every particle perfectly planned, not only in creation, but in our daily lives. He has everything perfectly orchestrated. He promises it's for our good. So to review, Aleph is the plan Abba purposed in his heart. Aleph, author, artist, architect, administrator, plans his purpose, determines the agenda, figures it out, pours it all into the funnel to make it be. So when I first started studying, I made study cards, and this is my first study card with the Aleph, and just a few definitions so I could start getting familiar with the meaning of this letter. Another idea I did was went to a paint supply and picked out 22 different colors, and I wrote with a Sharpie each letter, and I started to play with the order to see if I could challenge myself to get all 22 letters in order. It was very helpful when I started using the dictionary to have something with the Paleo letters on it, but also the modern script, because I needed to have help with the order of the letters. And in using the dictionary, it's very important to have something with the modern script, because I was more familiar with the Paleo than I could compare to the modern, find what I needed in the dictionary. So I hope that's helpful and encourages you to use this wonderful study tool.